Hello everybody, my name is Kane Lauterbeck, and today I'll be exploiting CVE 2021-3560. And for that I'll be using a Linux VirtualBox with Ubuntu version 20.04. There are other susceptible versions and platforms you can use, but this is the one I chose. And what the CVE is about is using Polkit and the vulnerability in Polkit in order to do a privilege escalation up to a root user. So I'll go ahead and start that now. And to start off, we need to know what Polkit is. So if I run pkexec reboot, you'll see we get this pop-up box asking for authentication and password. And what Polkit is, it's the software behind this and why this pop-up box appears. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel this. So our goal right now is to get that to not pop up every time. And by doing SSH localhost, it'll ask for my password into the localhost. And we're into that now. And if I run that same command, pkexec reboot, you'll see it's still asking for authentication, but we're not getting that pop-up box anymore. And that's good because when we run a command that we're about to hear soon, it's not going to ask us over and over each time we repeat this command with that pop-up box. It's going to be in the terminal instead. But by killing the process, we bypass this need for authentication. So let's go ahead and get started with the first command. So what we want to do is first find the time it takes to send this dbus command here. Let's go through the terminal. I'll go ahead and paste this in here. So for me, it looks like it takes about 8 milliseconds for this program to run. So what I want to do is in my commands here, the commands I got on hold, I want to kill the process about halfway through execution. So right now this is a little over half, so I'll change this to 4. And what this command does is going to try and create a user for us. And the user's name is going to be example. And you'll see I've got a for loop here. So this command is non-deterministic, or this exploit is non-deterministic. So you will have to repeat this command multiple times to get this to run. The best way I found to do this is to put it in a loop like this. And then just let it run in terminal and check if you've got your user afterwards. So I'm going to go back to my terminal, paste this in here, and it's going to hopefully create a user with the username of example. So we'll let this run. It's hopefully going to do the Polkit exploit, and this exploit happens because when this request happens, Polkit asks for a UID from the dbus daemon, and when it asks for that UID, if the UID does not exist, the dbus daemon will actually process it properly, and it will throw an error. But the Polkit does not. Polkit, instead of rejecting the request, treats it as if the request came from UID 0, which Polkit recognizes as the root. So, in short, it treats it as it came from root, and it authorizes the request. So it should authorize this request, even though it shouldn't, to create a user. So if I do ID example, you'll see we actually have an example user here now, and it's in the sudo group. But when this command here actually makes a root user. So this is a root user, but the root user needs a password, and that's where our second command comes in. And using the same exploit, we're going to do the same thing with a slightly different command. Instead of creating an account, we're going to do a set password. But before we do that, we need to run this OpenSSL password command. And what this does is it will generate a hash for this password, because the command we use down here needs a hash password rather than just a plain text password. So let's get that now. So it will generate a hash for me. So this is my hash for this password, password please 1. So I will now copy this. And I will paste that in here. Oop, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the hashed value. Copy. Paste. Okay. So again, this does a similar thing to what we just did with creating a user, but this is going to set a password for that user. And I needed to put that hash in there. What I also need to look at is I've got this user 1000 here. And it looks like they are user 1003. So I need to make sure that I'm referencing the right user here. Make that 1003. Let me see if there's anything else I forgot. We want to make sure this is the same as we did it before. Okay, and then this should work for us. So then I'll copy this over. We'll paste it in here. So this is going to run 1,000 times trying to set a password for that account. We'll see if it lets us create that password. 1,000 might be too much, but for me it was the one I found that in a way guaranteed me to get a user. So now we'll try and log into that user. So if I do su-example, which is the user we tried to create, it's going to ask me for my password. So I need to type in the password that we created, which is password please 1. It says authentication failure. Let's try again. Authentication failure. Okay, let's see. Did I change? So here I changed the time to 4, but I didn't change it here, so that might be a problem. I'll change this to 4. Again, we want to kill this at the exact right time, so if we're not killing it at the right time, it might not have enough time to process it. So I'm going to change that time, and hopefully, if I change that to 0.4, and we run that another 1,000 times, let's see if that will change that password for us. All right, now we'll try and log in again with password please. And look at that. We are now in as an administrator. So if I go back here and I do sudo su, oops, it's going to ask for the password, which is the password I created. So that's still password please 1. And now look at that. I now have root access to my Linux VirtualBox. And that is how you perform this exploit, CVE 2021-3560. There will be more information in the description if you wanted to learn more about it and how the exploit works. But that is how you perform it. Thank you very much.